A struggling single dad thought it was just another delivery at his apartment door. But when a locked wooden chest arrived with his name on the receipt, a lawyer called and revealed something that could change his daughter's future forever. This is the story of a man who was asked to sign for a package and discovered he might be the real heir to a hidden family legacy. Before we continue, tell us in the comments, where are you watching from? Rowan Vale had learned to distrust surprises. Good surprises did not usually come to men who kept spare socks in the glove box, paid rent in two halves, and counted grocery items before reaching the checkout. Good surprises did not arrive in the form of a heavy wooden chest carried by two men in gray uniforms to a third-floor apartment with peeling paint and a broken hallway light. He was 36, a night shift medical courier, and the kind of father who could braid hair badly, but with full concentration. That morning, he had been making toast before school when a knock came. His daughter, Rosalie, had been sitting cross-legged on the kitchen chair, wearing mismatched socks and reading the back of a cereal box like it was a serious novel. The delivery men asked for his signature. Rowan asked for answers. That was when the woman on the phone changed the air inside the apartment. Marin Whitlock's voice was calm, but not cold. It had the careful softness of someone who had delivered hard news many times and still hated doing it. "Mr. Vale," she said, "I need to meet you in person. Today." Rowan stared at the chest. It was old, dark, and scratched along the corners. A blue ribbon was tied around one brass handle, faded almost gray with age. Rosalie slipped closer. "Dad," she whispered, the blue scarf lady. Rowan looked down at her. "What picture?" Rosalie ran to the bookshelf and pulled out the small tin box where Rowan kept the few things he had from childhood. A hospital bracelet, a cracked silver button, a photograph he almost never looked at. In the photograph, his mother stood beside another woman on the steps of a house with white columns. His mother was young, tired-eyed, and beautiful in the way Rowan remembered from dreams. The other woman wore a blue silk scarf tied around her neck. On the back of the photo, in faded ink, someone had written, "Lila and Celia, summer before everything changed." Rowan had always thought Celia was just an old friend, a name from a life that ended before he could ask questions. Marin asked him not to open the chest until she arrived. That should have been easy, but Rowan was used to people giving instructions from comfortable offices while he cleaned up the consequences. He looked at his daughter, then at the delivery man, then at the receipt with his full name typed under a legal reference number. He did not sign. "I'll come to your office," he said. There was a pause. "That may not be safe." Rowan almost laughed, but nothing felt funny. Safe from who? Before Marin could answer, footsteps sounded in the hallway. Not the slow shuffle of neighbors. Not the landlord's uneven walk. Expensive shoes. Quick. Angry. A woman's voice cut through the door before anyone knocked. "Open it. Now." Rosalie grabbed Rowan's sleeve. He gently moved her behind him and opened the door only as far as the chain allowed. A sharply dressed woman stood outside with a man in a navy coat behind her. She had silver blonde hair, pearl earrings, and the wounded pride of someone who believed the world had been arranged incorrectly. Her eyes dropped to Rowan's work shirt, then to the chest behind him. "You," she said, almost under her breath. Rowan kept his hand on the door. "Can I help you?" "That property belongs to the Harrow estate." Then talk to the lawyer. "I'm Celia Harrow's niece. I don't need permission from a courier in a rented apartment." Rowan's jaw tightened, but he kept his voice low because Rosalie was listening. "Then you can wait in the hallway like everyone else." The man beside her leaned forward. "Mr. Vale, this can be handled quietly. Sign the receipt, hand over the chest, and we'll cover your trouble." Rowan looked at him. "My trouble?" The woman opened her purse and pulled out an envelope. $5,000. It was the kind of money Rowan could feel before he touched it. Rent, school shoes, dental work, a month without panic. Rosalie's small hand pressed against his back. Rowan looked at the envelope for one long second. Then he shut the door. The knocking started again, harder this time. Rowan slid the deadbolt into place and turned to Rosalie. "Backpack, shoes. Now." Her eyes were wide, but she obeyed. She had learned too early that when her father spoke quietly, things were serious. On the phone, Marin's voice sharpened. "Are they there?" "Yes." Do not open the chest. Do not sign anything they give you. I'm coming to you. No, Rowan said, grabbing his keys. We're leaving. Where will you go? He looked around the apartment, at the small kitchen table, the drying school uniform, the stack of overdue notices hidden under a magnet on the fridge. Somewhere they don't know. But people like the Harrows knew more than they should. By noon, Rowan was sitting in the back corner of a small public library with Rosalie beside him, the chest under the table, and Marin Whitlock across from him. She looked younger than he expected. Early 30s maybe, with dark auburn hair pinned carelessly and tired eyes that did not match her expensive coat. There was nothing flashy about her. No sarpesmite, no ciatric el misteri. Just a leather folder, steady hands, and a face that softened when Rosalie offered her half a granola bar. Thank you, Marin said. Rosalie nodded. It has chocolate chips. The good kind. For the first time all day, Rowan almost smiled. Marin noticed, but she looked away before it became uncomfortable. She opened the folder. Celia Harrow died 3 weeks ago. Rowan sat very still. She left instructions that this chest be delivered to you before the formal reading of her estate documents. I told you, Rowan said. I didn't know her. I believe you. Marin slid the old photograph toward him. But she knew your mother. Rowan stared at the image. Lila. Yes. Lila Vadi. He had not heard his mother's name spoken by a stranger in years. It hurt more than he expected. Marin's voice became gentle. Your mother worked for the Harrow family when she was young. Not as staff, exactly. She was studying restoration work. Old letters, paintings, documents. Celia was the daughter of the house. Friends, Rowan said. More like sisters, for what I've read. Rowan looked at the chest. Then why didn't I know about her? Marin hesitated, and that hesitation told him there was more. After your mother became pregnant, there was a conflict with Celia's older brother, Graham Harrow. He accused Lila of stealing family documents. Celia defended her, but the family forced Lila out. She moved away. She died before Celia could find her again. Rowan's throat tightened. The library lights buzzed overhead. A child laughed somewhere near the picture books, and the normal sound made the moment feel even stranger. My mother was called a thief, he asked. She was never charged. Celia believed she had been framed. Rowan leaned back, anger rising slowly, not hot but heavy. And now they want the chest because it proves something. Marin looked at him with quiet respect. Yes. Rosalie touched the brass lock. Can we open it now? Marin pulled a small key from her coat pocket. It hung from a blue ribbon. Rowan looked at it. You had the key the whole time? Celia gave it to me with strict instructions. Marin's fingers paused over the lock. Only Rowan Vale may decide whether to open it. He thought of the envelope of cash, the rent, his daughter's winter coat with sleeves too short. He thought of his mother being sent away, young and alone, while wealthy people protected their own version of the truth. Open it, he said. Inside the chest were no jewels, no stacks of money, no hidden fantasy. There were letters, bundles of them, tied in cotton string. There was a small painted music box, a set of restoration tools, a sealed envelope marked for Rowan, and a legal document with Celia Harrow's signature. Marin unfolded the document carefully. Rowan watched her expression change. Not shock. Confirmation. What? He asked. Marin looked at him. Celia legally adopted your mother as her heir in a private trust arrangement before Lila died. When her mother passed, the beneficiary line transferred to her child. Rowan stared at her. That doesn't make sense. It does legally. Emotionally, I imagine it's complicated. How much? Marin did not answer immediately. Rowan shook his head. No, don't look at me like that. Just say it. The inheritance includes the Harrow Restoration House, its archives, and a controlling interest in the foundation Celia built later in life. He gave a humorless breath. I deliver blood samples at midnight for hospitals. I don't run foundations. No, Marin said softly. But you've spent years taking care of fragile things that cannot be replaced. He looked at her then. There was no pity in her face. That mattered. Before he could respond, Rosalie lifted the music box. It began to play a thin, trembling tune. Rowan knew it. His mother used to hum it. For a moment, the library disappeared. He was 6 again, sleepy and warm, listening to a woman with tired eyes hum beside a hospital bed. His hand covered his mouth before he realized it. Marin closed the folder and looked down, giving him privacy. That small act reached him more than any speech could have. Then her phone vibrated. She read the message, and the softness left her face. "The Harrows filed an emergency claim," she said. Rowan wiped at his eyes, embarrassed and angry at the same time. Meaning they're asking the court to freeze everything and declare you unfit to receive it. Unfit? Marin's voice stayed calm, but her hand tightened on the phone. They're using your income, your apartment, and the fact that you're a single father to argue you were targeted because you're vulnerable. Rowan looked at Rosalie. His daughter was still holding the music box, her face full of worry she was trying to hide. He stood slowly. "Then we show up," he said. Marin blinked. "At the hearing? At all of it? It will be uncomfortable. My daughter already knows what uncomfortable feels like." Marin met his eyes, and something unspoken passed between them. Not romance yet. Not even trust completely, but recognition. Two people tired of watching polite cruelty dress itself as concern. Rowan picked up the chest. "Tell them I'm not signing away my mother's name." The hearing was held in a quiet room with beige walls, soft carpet, and a long table polished so brightly that everyone's hands reflected on the surface. Rowan arrived in his cleanest shirt. Rosalie waited outside with a court-appointed family advocate, drawing flowers in the corner of a notebook Marin had given her. Marin walked beside him, not ahead of him. That mattered too. Across the room sat the Harrows. Vivian Harrow, the silver-blonde niece from the hallway, did not look at Rowan at first. Her brother, Malcolm, tapped one finger against a stack of papers. Their attorney spoke in a smooth voice about responsibility, legacy, and protecting Celia's intentions. Rowan listened. He had spent his life being underestimated by people who mistook quiet for weakness. He knew how to stand still while others measured him incorrectly. When it was Marin's turn, she did not attack them. She did not perform outrage. She laid out documents one by one. Celia's trust, Lila Vale's restoration certificates, the old letters proving Celia had searched for Lila for decades. Then Marin opened the sealed envelope from the chest. Her voice softened as she read Celia's words. "If Rowan is anything like his mother, he will not want what was taken from her. He will want the truth first. Give him that before you give him anything else." Rowan looked down. His hands were steady, but his chest hurt. Vivian shifted in her seat. The judge asked Rowan if he wished to speak. For a moment, he almost said no. He had never liked rooms where people judge pain from behind desks. But through the glass wall, he saw Rosalie looking in. She lifted her small hand. So he stood. "I don't know how to be an heir," Rowan said. "I know how to pack lunches. I know how to work nights and still make school pickup. I know how to say no to money when it feels wrong, even when I need it." No one moved. My mother died with people thinking she stole from a family that had more than she ever did. I can't fix what that did to her, but I can refuse to let it become the last thing written beside her name. He looked at Vivian then, not with hatred, but with tired honesty. "I don't want to punish anyone. I don't want her house because it's big. I don't want a foundation because it sounds important. I want the truth preserved. And if Celia trusted me with that, then I'll learn how to carry it." The room went quiet. Marin did not smile, but her eyes shone. The judge denied the emergency claim. Not dramatically, not with a speech, just with a clear legal ruling that landed heavier than any public humiliation could have. The Harrows would receive what Celia had left them. Rowan would receive what had legally and intentionally been left to him. The archives would remain protected. Lila Vale's name would be restored in the foundation record. Afterward, in the hallway, Vivian approached him. Rowan braced himself, but she looked smaller now. Not defeated, just exposed. "I grew up hearing a different story," she said. Rowan nodded. "I figured. I believed it. That's easier than questioning people you love." Vivian looked toward Rosalie, who was showing Marin her flower drawing. "Your daughter looks like Lila, from the photographs." Rowan swallowed. "I wouldn't know." Vivian reached into her bag and handed him a small envelope. "There are more pictures. At the house. I didn't destroy them. It was not an apology. Not fully. but it was a door left unlocked. Rowan took it. Thank you. Weeks passed before he visited the Harrow Restoration House. It stood outside a small town in coastal Maine, white columns facing the gray sea, paint weathered by salt and wind. It was beautiful, but not in a rich way. It felt lonely. Rosalie ran ahead across the grass, then stopped at the front steps. "Dad," she called, "is this ours?" Rowan stood beside Marin at the gate. She had come to help with the transfer, though the legal work was mostly finished. Her hair was loose that day, lifted slightly by the wind. "No," Rowan said after a moment. "Not just ours." Rosalie frowned. "Then whose?" He looked at the house, then at the restoration room visible through the window, full of old frames and letters and unfinished repairs. Everyone's who was almost forgotten. Marin glanced at him. "That sounds like a Foundation mission statement." He looked embarrassed. "Too much." "No," she smiled, small and real. "It sounds like you." That evening, they opened the archive room together. Rowan found photographs of his mother laughing with Celia in paint-stained clothes. Letters full of jokes, arguments, apologies, and love that had survived longer than the people who wrote them. Rosalie found an old blue scarf folded in tissue paper. She carried it to Rowan carefully. "Can we keep this?" Rowan touched the fabric. For years, his past had been a locked room with no key. Now it was here, fragile and imperfect, but real. He nodded. "Yeah, we can keep it." Marin stood near the doorway, giving them space again. Rowan looked up. "You don't always have to stand outside the moment." She seemed caught off guard. Then slowly, she stepped in. Months later, the Restoration House opened as a public archive and training center. Rowan kept his courier job at first, then reduced his nights as he learned the work his mother had once loved. He hired people who knew more than he did. He asked questions. He made mistakes. He listened. Vivian donated the remaining photographs. Malcolm never came, and Marin stayed. Not because of the estate, not because of gratitude, but because somewhere between legal documents, quiet coffee, and Rosalie's endless drawings, she and Rowan had built something careful and honest. On the first spring morning after the opening, Rowan stood on the porch with Rosalie beside him. The sea wind moved through the grass. Inside, Marin was teaching a group of students how to handle old letters without damaging them. Rosalie leaned against her father. "Grandma would like this place," she said. Rowan watched sunlight touch the windows of the house that had once kept secrets and now held them gently. "I think she'd like that we opened it," he said. Rosalie slipped her hand into his. Behind them, Marin called his name. Rowan turned. For the first time in a long time, he did not feel like a man waiting for another loss. He felt like someone who had been handed a key, and this time, he knew exactly what to do with it.